Both making progress. Max a little bit farther along. Getting there, need to get him out and get football conditioning. And he's got a few weeks to do that, but we like the progress he's made, and he's been working really hard. And Rob's the same way. Rob's mobile now, which is good, moving around, and we're going to take that slowly and see where it goes.
Is there a chance Robert might not be ready this year?
I would say there's always a chance. You know, I don't know the exact timetable, but from what I've seen, he's progressed nicely, and I know he's been grinding away at it.
You mentioned the other day about having a plan with the trainers and the strength coaches with Patrick coming back, but do you have any concerns about maybe his stamina? I know you want to drop him back in, but he hasn't practiced or played for 6 weeks. Do you have any concern about that?
I don't, just based upon what I've gathered talking to everybody around here that's worked with him before, and how he trains and how he keeps himself in shape. And we will be smart, and we'll see how the week goes, but we all feel like he's going to be ready to roll.
What was your conversation about him?
It was just a big hug and a smile, and just fired up to have him back. I mean, he loves the game. You can tell he's very excited to be back around his teammates. He missed those guys, and they missed him, and he's going to bring just some good juice to the practice field this week.
What will Christian Kirk have to do this week to be able to play on Sunday that he wasn't able to do last week?
He's got to be 100%. He was moving straight ahead, I thought, really well, and he's progressed. But to be at his best and do what he does on the field, he's got to be able to cut and move, and we don't want to put him out there until he feels 100%. And he's not to that point yet. Until he is, we won't have him in the game.
How close is he?
Closer than he was last week. That's about all I can give you. Huge strides, I've said it all along, from the injury till now, but I'm not sure if he'll play or not.
Is he able to cut right now or without any pain or discomfort, or is that not the case?
He's progressing. It's not 100%, I'll just put it that way.
Will David be limited at all this week? Does he have anything lingering from his back injury?
Just soreness, so we'll be smart with him as well. But that's something that may linger for a couple weeks. But he's pushed through and practiced and played well. So we'll monitor him and take it from there.
Well, you sense Patrick Peterson has something to prove. I mean, I know he was embarrassed by this whole ordeal, kind of the old chip on the shoulder kind of mentality coming back.
No question. He's a very proud individual, and I think more than anything, he just talking to him, he feels like he let his teammates down, and he wants to make up for lost time and prove to them, what type of player he is, what type of teammate he is.
With Kyler's size, I'm guessing the durability questions are kind of natural for everybody, and I'm wondering if you wondered that before watching the tape, and then seeing the way he's avoided hard contact consistently, does that ease the concern a little bit because he doesn't take a lot of hits?
That was one of the reasons we were so sure on him being able to play at this level. His entire life he's played that way. I mean, you can watch him in high school and he didn't take the vicious hit, and you watch him in college, he didn't take it, and he's finding ways to avoid it now. I mean, that's when you're that small, it's survival mode, and he knows it and plays with that instinct that he's developed, and so he definitely does a great job of protecting himself.
There was a play from last week's game where I think it was a design run, he went left, and it was closed off. He basically just sat down right there. Do you joke with him at all about that?
No, I'm like, yeah, perfect. Do it again. Do it again. Yeah, they made a good play, played over the top, and there was nowhere to go, so let's live to find another day, and he does a great job at that. And that's something he had prior to being here. I mean, he's always played that way.
Through 6 games, how would you assess his season games?
Just progress. I mean, that's what we've wanted from week 1 until now. He's more comfortable in every phase, and even in the engagement, understanding his teammates, understanding his coaches, understanding what it means to be the face of the organization day in, day out. You can't have a bad day. I mean, you're kind of the pulse of this place. You come in, you have a bad attitude or a bad day, it rubs off on everybody, and you can see he's definitely matured in the first month and a half, and hopefully that continues.
How much pressure is that on?
I mean, that's what I've said all along. It's an insane amount. People take for granted that he's still a rookie quarterback because he was kind of thrust into it, and everybody expected, it to be Joe Montana from day one, and it's a process, and he's taking it full on. He's never made any excuses, and he's going to continue to work hard.
Was he excited about the Offensive Player of the Week honors?
I don't think so. Yeah, that's not really his deal. I mean, he truly just wants to win games, and that's what he's passionate about.
The process, though, to get here, is there any type of personal affirmation for you that y'all are being recognized?
No, not at all. I mean, we know we have a long way to go, and there's a lot of things we've got to fix and get better at. And so I think you just take each week for what it was. I'm proud of, like I said, what I've seen progress-wise, the work ethic and the way he's engaging teammates and staff and doing things that you have to do it in that position. But we're a long way from where either of us want to be.
Did you look at all the troubles West Coast teams have had with 10 a.m. starts in the East, and you're flying out on a Friday? What went into the decision to do that?
Talking through it with our staff, a lot of guys that have done it different ways, and we just picked those games early, which ones we thought would be good to get ahead and get out there. And this will be our third East Coast trip, farthest one yet, but that was the plan prior to the season.
What went into not flying on Friday in Cincinnati?
Just not as far, yeah, a little bit shorter trip.
As a coach, I know Zane missed a couple field goals earlier this year. You saw Bryant miss the kick. There seems to be a feel out there just in general that kickers are going to make every single kick, and that's probably not realistic. As a coach, kind of how do you look at that, knowing that at some point there's probably going to be a kick missed?
I mean, that's the game, and you see even Vinatieri had a couple misses, and he's the best of all time. So it's part of the sport, and those guys understand it. But when you know the work ethic that a guy's putting in, you watch him in practice, you see how consistent he is. A guy like Zane, like if you miss a couple, I think everybody on our staff understands, hey, he's going to make the next one. And so just part of the game.
Justin Moore has been probably a pleasant surprise. You feel fortunate with how that position is kind of
very fortunate, particularly the way it kind of went down, the way we acquired him, and Marcus getting hurt Thursday before the first game. He's just gotten steadily better, and that's all we could ask from him. And I think it's just going to continue. The more reps he gets, the more elite pass rushers he goes against, it's just going to make him a better player.
Do you think your play calling has helped the O-line as well, kind of balance things out?
I think more just situational. You know, once again, we're able to stay on schedule, and when you're dropping back 50 times a game like we did the first 3 weeks, based on getting down, it's tough on those guys, and we need to stay out of those situations. I got to do a good job of staying out of those situations in my play calls.
When it comes to Kyler handling all that pressure, what is it about his makeup that allows him to do that?
Just any expectation any outside person could ever put on him falls very short of the expectation for himself. And I think that's been his whole life, what he's expected to be and expects himself to be and play. And so that to me, anything anybody puts on him, it doesn't touch what he expects of himself.
Do you ever get concerned that he puts too much pressure on himself?
No, I don't. I think when you have a skill set like he has, I mean, you should shoot for the moon, and he does.
What has Jordan Hicks brought to this defense?
He's really a quarterback out there for us. Consistent approach to the game. He gets everybody lined up, has a great football mind for it. You know, his interactions with Vance and Billy can give him great information. He's really a calming force out there for us.
Will that change at all now that Pat's back and he's a leader on this defense?
Hopefully it'll just amplify, the leadership aspect on the defense, because Pat will have that calming effect on the back end with some younger players and Buddha and then, Jordan with those linebackers.
Your observations on the Giants offense and defense?
Your quarterback's going to be a really good player. You can tell when you turn on the film, he's got it. Got the moxie, moves around, makes plays. He cuts it loose. That's one thing I always look for in young quarterbacks. When they see it, they cut it loose. Sometimes they make mistakes, but he pulls the trigger, and you can tell their offense believes in him. One of the best running backs in the game. The tight end is dynamic. Some great wideouts. I think Coach Shermer does a tremendous job with his play calling, protecting, a young player at times, but doing creative things at the same time. And then defensively, I thought they played a great game against the Patriots for most of the night. So it's a team on the rise, and we'll get their best shot.
What do you think of Jones coming out?
Really liked him. Smart, productive. I mean, coming from Texas Tech, you appreciate the guys that you may not always go out there with the top talent around you, but he battled his tail off, and he kept those guys in every game he played in, and you can appreciate that. And I kind of have a soft spot for that and knowing what that's like each week, and he's a really good player.
How difficult is it to evaluate that when you've got a guy in a Duke, like you said, that may necessarily not have that ball guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think Patrick is Mahomes is the biggest example. I mean, a lot of guys, because he had a losing record in college, or I mean, how can you miss on that kid? Like, if you go back and watch his tape, it's pretty evident. But that's tough when you turn on the film and it may not look like it's supposed to look, and they're not winning 50-10 every week. I think guys just miss.
What's the best throw you ever saw Mahomes make?
That one last year against the Ravens where he's looking like completely that way, throws it on the run. Yeah. I mean, he made some great ones in practice, but to do that against the Ravens in like a tight game, that's ridiculous.
How dangerous is Barkley since Saquon Williams 100%, which it looks like he's almost.
He's as good as anybody in the game. I mean, he has the ability to be one of the best all time when you look at being able to catch it out of the backfield, being able to run with it, speed, power, he's got it all. And the work ethic is evident, the mentality. I mean, he's as good as it gets.
How much do you get the sense that Kyler's looking forward to the stage of playing in New York this week?
He's always looking forward to the brightest lights. He wants the ball in his hands when the game's on the line, and he wants to be on the biggest stage, and I'm sure he'll be excited to be out there.
Having played in New York, how much different is the stage in New York?
Yeah, I mean, you know everybody's watching. I mean, it's the Big Apple, and so he'll be fired up.